Hey guys, I'm Laura Eakin,
And I'm Annie Baxter.
and this is the Blush and Burn podcast. This is a rebrand, but we're sisters and we love all things books.
All things books.
All things books. Like, we're on the phone talking about books all the time.
All the time. We break down everything from what we love to what we
Can't
hate.
stand. What gives us the ick?
Exactly. When we were looking at pictures and stuff.
That was fun.
Yeah.
I loved that.
Because I was reminded of the age gap.
Oh my gosh, yeah, because you had a
In
picture where
multiple-
you're just like holding me and I'm like this
Yeah.
itty bitty baby.
And then I was saying to you, sometimes it's weird to think that you don't know these 9 years of my life.
Yeah, I don't know the
Like,
first
I
name.
just assume that you know what it was like when I
But
was younger, but you
I don't.
So
I don't at
I have
all.
to remember that you don't know what it was like when we were like 5 and there was
Yeah.
like, and so it's a weird thing when you start to think about it. And then, but yeah, I know what it was like for you when you were like really little. So
Yeah.
it's kind of different.
I was
it's
this
kind
big
of weird
because I was this big into pictures.
you were little.
I was little baby.
I know. So I think some of the going through the pictures was
That was a lot of fun though, because
was
I
fun.
didn't realize, when you look through like a scrapbook, because mom put all those scrapbooks together, it was interesting to like look back and be like, I only saw myself in those most of the time.
Yeah.
And then I go back and I'm like, oh my gosh, I do have a ton of pictures with you when I was like little.
and more of us actually together than I
Yeah.
realized, because I thought we would just have a lot of like more like family like ones.
Yeah.
But then I remember taking care of you a lot. So I remember holding you a lot and carrying you around the house a lot.
Oh, geez.
And like I was obviously the oldest, which means I was designated babysitter.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, but there also is that 9-year gap just in general.
yeah.
And like how that hierarchy works
Yeah.
within the family anyway.
Yeah.
And then for us, it was you and Matt for a couple of years. And then Richard came along.
Yeah.
And then 5 years later, it was me. So by the time I hit the family,
Yeah.
even mom talks about this. She's like, there was already a routine established for the first 3. And then I came along and she goes, you had to nap where we were because everybody was doing sports. Everybody was going and doing things. And she had already established a routine.
Yeah, you just had a very different dynamic. And so when we went through all the pictures and stuff, it reminded me
Of that.
And when the other thing I noticed was there was like kind of a gap where there wasn't pictures of me and you together because I
Yeah.
left the house. So
Well, it's because you got married. So like it was like,
by the time I got married,
and I was 11.
like-
I was 11 when you got married.
yeah. So there wasn't a
So-
lot of pictures of us like together, unless it was like as a group and like in
Or like a
family
family
and stuff.
event. So like
Yeah.
if we went to Universal or I think it was
Well,
even
and that's
Disney.
just life, right? Because I mean,
But-
in all reality, like I got married and was like, I worked full time,
Uh-huh.
and then we had to drive far to get to work and stuff, and it just there wasn't time
Yeah.
for that kind of a relationship.
Do you look at that now at that drive and be like, oh, that really wasn't that bad?
Well, I mean, what's funny is where we're filming now was where I thought my drive was like,
Yeah.
I thought the drive was insane. It's literally from like where you live now was like where we lived, and then we
Mega
had to-
outskirts.
Where I live now is where I worked. So it's just kind of funny because
Now you drive it just to come see me.
now I drive it like multiple times a week without even thinking about it. But I used to drive it every day.
And you're like, oh my gosh.
I live like in BFE. This is crazy.
This is ridiculous. Yeah, I remember that.
So-
I remember driving to the shop and being like, oh my gosh, this is like 30 to 45 minutes to
I know.
drive to. And I was like, this is insane.
I know.
But
I enjoyed the pictures.
I
That
did
was
too.
fun. I thought it was it's always fun to go down memory lane, but it's also it was great to remember the dynamic of what we had when we were younger, and then also to see like the dynamic that we have like now as we are like older.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and even when we were working, you know what I mean? There was a time when we didn't do a lot together, even as adults, because you were a young mom and I was around when you were a young mom. And then there was this gap. And then all of a sudden I became a young mom. And then there was a different kind of gap. And now that our kids are like all older and we've both have kind of gone through a whirlwind of personal life, for lack of a better term.
Totally.
But we went through all of this, our own personal trials and dilemmas to then all of a sudden be brought back together, all because of books.
Of books.
Of books.
I feel like we had a little bit of this before what I would call like book talk.
This was way before book talk,
Yeah,
though.
but I feel like we had that. I don't know. I think you were probably 18, which means I was probably like, what, 30?
Yeah.
So, I mean, even though it's like, so I always gauge like 10-ish
Yeah.
years, right? So it's like you were in your 20s, I'm in my young 30s, and I think we started to connect then. And then I got into different kinds of books. Like I went down that whole like self-help road for a little while. Sorry.
They make me want to throw up. And you were trying to be like, oh, Laura,
I'm
this
sorry.
was so good. I think you would learn from this. And all I wanted to do was tell you no. And I was like, oh, okay. And then you'd be like, it's in my Audible. And I'd be like, awesome, thanks. I just would go right over my head. I'd forget about it.
I needed that little bit of time to
You did.
To find myself and
Yeah.
to just kind of figure out where I wanted to be in life, like mentally, spiritually, and try and get my mental health, I guess, kind of like in check. Like I really wanted to work on like myself and like where I wanted to be, and I think that like I've grown, and now I'm kind of like, then you like move into that where you're almost like, I don't think I can open another self-help book.
With nonfiction.
With,
it is nonfiction.
I know, right? So I guess you just go through phases of life,
Yes.
right? Like right now I'm like, I do not want another self-help book right now. Like,
do you want to know where my personal development self-help looks like? It looks like all of this. It looks like Flames of Chaos.
I know.
It looks like Guild. It looks like Throne of Glass. That's what that looks like now.
Listen, you go through phases, okay? And now we're in a different phase.
Yes.
We're back on track again. And even though we've read a lot of stuff that's similar,
yes,
but we also tend to go have a little bit of different tastes.
Yeah, we do.
As well. And I noticed that with like our Christmas, some of our Christmas reads, like I had one that I really, really loved and you liked it.
Yeah.
So sometimes I think that it's a reminder that even though we definitely love the same genre, there's certain little tropes that we tend to lean towards.
Or like little things where you're like, I saw these plot holes and you were like, I just enjoyed the story. Like vice versa, which I think is really important because then we can kind of like build off of each other's experience in the book.
Right.
Which has actually helped a lot with our book club.
Well, and I don't want to be the same as you and you don't want to be the same as me. And we don't want to love all the exact same things. But it is fun when we enjoy the exact same thing. Great. And then we can kind of like, and then, but I mean, that's part of what's fun of reading right now, I think, is that I work with a girl right now and we talk dragons and that's fun, right?
It's great.
You're just like, you have that like mutual thing that you can always like go back to and you're like, so what do you think about this? Like, and we can talk about Game of Thrones and we can talk about Fourth Wing and like, so, you're always looking for those people who have that like common love. I mean, like, man, I love it when I find someone who wants a good bully romance. Like,
for sure. Oh, for sure.
You, all right. What do you like? And then you start going down there.
Do you have like a question list that you ask people that you're like, okay, you want to get into reading? Awesome. What are we starting with? Are we starting with fantasy? Are we going paranormal? Or are we going like modern time contemporary?
Kind of stuff. I think the thing I get more frustrated with is when they're right at the beginning, you know,
it's so
and you're going, they've just read that one book that they fell in love with, and you're like, Okay, and it just doesn't help me narrow
No, it
down.
doesn't.
So then
It
I'm like
doesn't.
trying to kind of like help like guide them through the thing, and unfortunately it takes like sometimes like 2 or 3 books to kind of be like
I actually really liked this
figure
one.
out
I didn't like this
the
one.
path that they like, you know.
Right.
You'll always find people who want to go more fantasy. You always find people who want to go more thriller. You'll
find people who want more spice or less spice or wherever that is. And I love that about the book community as a whole.
Yeah.
Because I love being able to share a wide range of genres as well as tropes, as well as like, because we read it all.
Yeah.
When it's in those kinds of categories. We read YA, we read new adult, we read adults. Like we go through it pretty thoroughly, I think.
And I do generally feel like we have a very broad, like what we read is it's a very wide spectrum. Even though we do tend to stay a little bit more in like the romance category. Like,
yes,
I think we both can agree that like, I mean, obviously like the book
Blush
club
and Burn.
name, like I think that we definitely have our niche, which would be in the romance category.
Yeah.
I don't need heavy romance. I really do need a sprinkling of it though. Like it does.
I just want some tension.
Yeah,
I want some angst.
it does. It just helps me. Like, I mean, I love a good epic fantasy, but like, I mean, that story better be bomb.
Yeah.
Keep me like,
yeah, it's gotta be good.
Like going. So, but that, I mean, that's just where I tend to go. And,
yeah.
The world needs a little bit more love. Right?
I agree.
Everywhere. So, I don't know.
And it depends on what kind of love, because I have learned a few things from some of these books.
I know.
And there are some that live rent-free.
Those
are my favorites.
I may have mentioned to my husband the other day, I think I may be just a little bit more like desensitized. Like, I don't think you can help it. Like, you
so
start
true.
somewhere and then you literally just start going down the rabbit hole, and then you're like,
I'm feeling this way too.
and I'm
recently.
going, okay. And they're like, I think I might need to figure out where my line is. Like,
well,
we've gotten
you
into
find
like
it.
a different territory now. Like, I
yeah.
need a line. And then you're like, what do I really need one? And then you kind of go back and forth with that of like, and then I do think you need a line. Actually.
I do think that that's important, because
where you're gonna like cross over.
Right. Because like you don't know. And then when you hit it, you're like, that was a no-go. Or like when you're recommending something. We had a friend.
I like to kind of know where other people's lines are.
Yeah.
Because
it helps when you're recommending things too.
Yeah. It's
so
hard
being
when you're
like,
the recommender, right?
Oh gosh. Sometimes it's so hard because you're like, oh, you want spice. Okay. What kind are we talking about here? And then you kind of have this weird wiggle room of like fantasy, paranormal, monster.
Yeah.
And you're like, how far are we going into each category, and what are you going to be comfortable with? Because I know where I'm comfortable with, but I don't know necessarily what you are.
Do you tend to want to push people's boundaries just a little? I can't help it. It's probably not good.
I did it with your friend the other day, and you were like, I don't know if she's going to like that. And I said, the ball's in her court now.
She can always turn it off. I know, it's true. No, it's true. But you always want to like.
I just wanted to push it just a little. Yeah. Just a little. Someone who doesn't read a whole lot of spice.
You probably know that about me then. Like,
I gave her TL Swan.
Like, I may just want to like push it just a little bit.
We're going to nudge you just a smidge.
You're not going to be disappointed.
No. It's like, the thing is that I'm not going to recommend something out that I don't like. I refuse to do that. If I gave it 2 stars, I'm not recommending it to you. I would recommend out a 3-star to the right person.
Always.
4-star, I recommend it to everyone. And 5-star, I'm going to shove it down your throat.
Which is our rule of thumb.
That's
our rule of thumb that we go by.
But, like, all in all, we're excited that you guys are here. And that we're going to go on this journey together. And if you get similar vibes from us in this way, make sure to like and subscribe. Nobody ever knows what's going on with social media these days. And
yeah, I mean, we really don't, right? I mean,
there's so much
just
happening.
Watched TikToks this morning, and they were like,
"Hey, so
we
Supreme
may
Court
not be going away." So
they're gonna hear arguments. So,
but we love YouTube.
But we do love YouTube,
we love YouTube,
and we're happy to be here.
Yep.
This is a complete rebranding for us, and just come along for the journey. This is going to be fun. I think we're
I'm
fun.
excited about it. I feel like I'm a little bit more excited about some of the things that we kind of have like planned and like some of the direction that we like to go. And I think we have some really cool people around us.
Yes.
To help us move forward, but also to create like a better pool of like people and knowledge and I don't know. I'm excited.
I am too. And some things that you can expect from the Blush and Burn podcast here. We are going to do author interviews. We already have a couple lined up, which I'm so excited about. Yeah. So we will do reviews on the books. We're going to do author interviews. We are going to do giveaways here and on other platforms. Stay tuned because we have a short that will be coming out that we are doing a giveaway on. And we're going to create a blog. So if you don't want the full video format, you're going to be able to go to our website and have it there. If you are local to the Utah County area, to Salt Lake County area, we have a local book club, which is the Blush and Burn Book Club. We currently have 424 members in our Facebook group right now.
We get together.
We do.
We get together. I know it's not for everyone. Like I know it can be kind of intimidating a little bit at first, right? Because like even the first one we had, I was a little bit nervous. Like what
kind of people are we bringing in too?
And I was so excited and so happy with what actually happened. Yep. And you realize there are people who want to get together personally and talk about the same similar things. And I'm still finding that even after we've done, I mean, how many have we done now? Like 6?
I think, yeah.
There's still more to explore. You still learn new things. And every month new stuff comes out and you find a whole new list of books and recs that may overwhelm you a little bit only because there's so many.
There's a lot.
But it just is exciting. And I hope it continues. Like Me too. I really would love for this new world to keep going.
I agree. So our book club is really fun. I think it is. And I think it's also really unique in a facet that we usually do 2 books a month.
I will say that this is probably one of your best ideas. Yes. I think this was probably one of your best ideas because
thank you.
There are way more Blush readers
than you thought.
I would have imagined. Yep. And I think that it also comes with a little bit of where we live.
Yes.
True. But I didn't realize how many Blush readers there actually were because I kept like being like, I don't know why we're like,
why do we keep
that was like a recurring question
area? From a lot of
like,
people.
Why do we keep putting out like the Blush books? But people keep reading them, coming back for them and like them. And then I actually realized like there's some books that I didn't think were Blush. And then after reading them, we're like, oh no, that was actually Blush.
Yeah. So it's really fun because as we say Blush, it's because we read what would be classified as a cleaner styled romance, which is normally something that's like maybe 1 or 2 scenes, but most of the times it's closed door.
I would call it less detailed.
Very less detailed easy to skim.
I would call it a little bit more
maybe like a 1 or 2 pager. Like it's not going to be like a drawn out chapter.
Well, and I still think like in what I would call Blush, like you can still have tension.
Oh, absolutely.
Like you can still have a lot of tension and you can have a lot of like buildup. I just think that when it actually comes down to the scene, your spice scene, it's
use your imagination. It's more of an imagination thing than it is for like on page, verbatim, everything that's happening.
Yeah, your detail is just not quite like it's just not detailed.
Yeah, there's no detail to it. And that's okay. So the way that the rating normally works on these is that there's the green bell pepper. So the green bell pepper means that it's closed door, fade to black. There can be romance in the book, which is the majority 100%. Of what we're reading. But then it goes from that to like 1 chili pepper, right, where it's like actual on-page scenes, but less detail.
Correct.
And there's normally 1 to 3 scenes.
Correct.
A 2 chili pepper, we have it where there are 3 to 5 scenes and there becomes more detail. So we try to keep it between a green bell pepper to 2 chili pepper so that people
And maybe
who
even
need a
not
little bit of
quite
that,
2, 'cause
not
sometimes-
quite a 2. We
Yeah.
try really hard to keep it
Correct.
as green bell pepper as possible, but sometimes books are marketed incorrectly, and so that becomes kind of hard. But we've put that parameter out to everybody to say, hey,
100%. I will also just throw out there, we do try to screen a bunch of the books that we put up
Yes.
for poll every month, but every once in a while one will slip in where
That
we're
we're
like,
like,
oh,
we heard
we
this
haven't
was
read this, we
great.
heard it's great, and then we get it and we think it's going to be like Spice Town, right?
Yeah, so it would be
and
our
then
burn
we find
book.
out that it's like a green bell pepper and you're
We're
like, what just happened? So
and it's like, and wrench thrown.
whatever shit happens. Like,
it
we have to
happens.
just move on. And
Yes.
I just feel like we have like the best book club that is like
They're totally
so
understandable.
cool. And they're just like, doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it anyway.
we're still gonna talk
and then
about
we
it.
talk about it. And sometimes we love it. And other times,
Yeah,
we tear that bitch apart.
it's true.
It's
true.
I don't even know. And even the books that we love,
We still rip
get torn
apart.
apart a little bit. And I
Yeah.
just think that that's just part of the fun. And
And seeing what other people think. It's huge.
everyone thinks so. It's
So much fun.
I think if we didn't have it, I wouldn't have realized how different people are in their perspectives of reading.
And
Correct.
we have a couple authors in our group, so when they get in and they're like, okay, well, this just happened, and we're like,
I love listening to their perspectives.
yes, they always, and they're like, well, that preface just gave that away.
I
Well,
was
that
like,
prologue just
I
gave
know,
that
they
away. And I
sound
was like,
great.
wait,
You're like,
what?
I know.
I didn't see it.
either. I love it. I love it.
But, and the other side is the burn. See, squirrel. Burn. So a burn is going to be normally, if it is pre-screened, you have to give us a little bit of like grain of salt here, is 3 to 5 chili peppers.
Yeah.
So
And we're really pushing that right now.
we're really, really trying to push that.
Really trying to push that, only for the simple fact that we have been slightly disappointed a couple of times just because we were led to believe something, and
Now we're pre-screening
And
the
we-
majority
I mean,
of
we
our
have
books.
to.
We have to.
it's crazy how many synopsis or like
Even other
reviews don't actually lead you to the correct level of spice,
Right. And I think there's a difference between spice and heat. I am a big advocate of this because
heat
it's
can
like
also
what's
be
on
tension,
it.
right? Like
Yes.
I actually kind of put heat and tension kind of
I
in
like
the
those
same
but that's,
category.
But
a
that's what
little
I mean.
bit.
I mean, like to me, a spice is like what's actually on the page. It's not how
Yeah.
it makes me feel. I
Yeah.
think tension and heat
Yep.
is what makes me feel. I
Yeah.
think that
The
the spice is
buildup.
actually what's on the page.
Correct,
So
because let's give an example really quick of like what I would call heat or tension would be like powerless.
yes, powerless is
Because
heat,
you
tension.
have this like build up, right? But there's
they
not
gotta kiss.
actually like any spice in it.
Right.
It's like there's tension and build up. It's fantastic.
It's
I'm
good.
not like, but there is not an actual spice scene that
Right.
I mean, it's not even in Reckless. So it's like, I mean, I guess that's why it's called. Are we calling it?
I think they're considered new adult.
I mean, I would call it new adult.
I would too.
I would just call it new adult, no spice.
Yeah, because there isn't any.
But it does have tension and heat that is, I mean, legit
good.
fantastic. So,
But then we've heard other fantasy stories that there people have been like, oh my gosh, this whole series is like a 3 chili pepper. No, it's not. I'm sorry. That is not 3 chili peppers worth of spice.
Yeah,
Now, but we also learned through book club that someone's 5 chili pepper could be a 3 for us.
100%. So
that's why we have a standardized grading.
I just feel
for
like the
book club.
scale is like,
So widespread.
it's so amazing to actually have like a scale that's like written down that we
Yes.
can like go back to and be like, because when I say to you, oh, this is a 3 chili pepper, you know exactly,
I know exactly
what
you're
I'm
talking
talking
about.
about. So
You want to know what I think of when I think of a 3 chili pepper? December's book club book.
I would call that 100%. I actually put
I put 3.
Even done 3.5.
But
it was
I
a 3.
put 3 as a borderline kink.
Agreed.
So
Actually,
this is borderline kink. This is
did
not
the
full
same
blown kink.
thing.
This is
Okay.
borderline.
I did the same thing because there is a couple little parts in it that I thought had a level of kink to it, which I loved.
I actually really enjoyed it. So we are going to do a review on this. Not in this video, but this is just an example for you guys to kind of understand a little bit more about like us, the book club, and what we have coming. We have a blog coming. I can't wait for this because I am a huge advocate for putting rating systems on books right now. And I think that this is what it's going to be because I don't think that a 13-year-old should be reading Icebreaker. That is my own personal opinion. I don't think that that's appropriate. There are 12 on-page scenes.
Loved Icebreaker.
We loved Icebreaker, but that should not be going into a middle schooler's hand, in our personal opinions.
I don't know if they can. I don't know how they're getting away with it right now. If
I don't either.
Completely honest.
I don't either.
I don't know how.
I don't either. I think
don't know
that
how
books
the book industry has
skirted
this
this long. Freaking video games. Video games have a
they have
rating system. Board games. Board games have a rating
I know.
system.
They even
Movies
give you
have
an
a rating
age range.
system.
They're like, this is it.
This is
an
the
8
13 plus, 8 plus,
and you're
12
like,
plus. And I'm like, how are they doing this by like actual like number age, whatever.
Yeah.
But I think that this is something that we need to put on books. So we're going to create through our blog how our rating system works
I think
and how
it's
it will
just called
be
like
pushed.
maybe they do this in video games. It's just like a maturity rating, right?
Well, that's what they put. They put
like,
M for mature, E for everyone. There's like 14 for if you need to be like, or like TV 14.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there are rating systems out there and books need to have this, especially for parents who are getting books for their kids or
I
like
don't know
recommending
how many
books out to
mothers
our nieces.
are trying to get books for their daughters and they literally they have no
idea what's in them.
They have no clue.
No clue.
And I have a handful of moms who probably have no idea what their daughters are reading right now.
Yeah.
And
our mom was a reader, so she knew what we were reading. She knew what we were consuming.
I agree.
Well, she knew what you were consuming, and then she didn't know that I was consuming what you were consuming because I was logged into your Audible.
Well, I think it goes back to that whole point of like, do you think that like Powerless or I could probably think of a couple of others. They should not be in a 13-year-old's hands.
Right.
Or 14 or probably even a 15-year-old's hands.
No,
like,
they
need to be like
yeah.
in the dating world. They need to be dating. Like
I agree.
I don't think a girl who is not actively dating should be reading books with that much tension in them.
I would agree. And we will do a whole episode on this.
I think so. I think
this would be something that we could talk about more.
And you know what might be fun is to maybe invite a couple book club members who
would be really fun.
Young daughters.
And what they would actually
recommend out because
I like that.
I obviously don't have daughters. I have boys.
Sons. I have boys.
And I think that even though it shouldn't be, I think what I would let a boy read versus a girl may be a little bit different.
Yeah. I think that would actually be a good idea.
Yeah.
Because we are romance forward. So anyway, guys.
That's something to think on.
That's just something to think on. We have so many ideas. This is the problem.
Like,
we get on the phone.
So many like thoughts going through my
We
mind.
talk all day. All day long. And it's wonderful. I absolutely love it. And then we're like, oh, we should talk about this. Oh, we should talk about this. And then it's like, where do we put that in our schedules? So for a while, here's the issue that we're going to have. We may post 1 episode a week. We may post 2 episodes a week. We're not quite sure. You can always expect at least 1. But there will probably come a couple times where we're like, oh my gosh, we need to talk about this and we need to talk about it now.
Yeah.
So know that there will most likely be 1 episode a week, if not 2. So many things are going to be coming out. So we just want you guys to subscribe and come hang out with us. I think we have very valid opinions. I think we're really cool. I think that we're fun. And we both have unique perspectives on different things. So this is our ask for you to subscribe and come hang out with us. Okay? BookTube, come hang out with us. Let's talk books.
Is that what they're calling it?
They're calling it BookTube. I think we should come up with something
I think
different.
they're going to coin our own phrase, okay?
I think we might need to.
I don't know what it's going to be yet.
I don't love BookTube.
I don't love that.
I don't love Book Talk.
I don't either.
We'll come up with something.
Bookstagram.
We're good at this. I don't like Bookstagram either. I like Bookish. I love Bookish. But
I like bookish.
I think we'll get there. But
yeah, I don't know.
We'll figure
I'm not
it
really
out.
down with BookTube.
yeah,
That sounds.
when you can't do Facebook, it's BookBook.
Oh my god, I didn't even think of that.
BookBook. Where do you post your content? On BookBook.
BookBook.
On the BookBook.
I put it on the BookBook. I'm gonna come up with some ideas on that.
Yep. We'll figure it out. Anyway, like and subscribe, guys, and we will be back later with our first technical episode. Woohoo! Bye.